My name is Ted Nawolinsky. I was in the Philippines from September of 1965 to July of 1967. I was stationed in Sorsogon province in the Philippines, which is the southernmost province in the Philippines, and I was in the southernmost municipality not Philippines, I meant on the island of Luzon. And my little town of Irosin was the southernmost municipality on the island of Luzon. I taught biology in a high school with 300 students. And spent summer vacations. The first summer vacation was involved with a group of relocated squatters. The government took them from Manila and moved them up to an area in Bulacan province which was called Sapang Palay, which was ironic because there was no Sapa and no Palay. Sapang Palay means a stream with rice. Palay is rice, Sapa is a stream, and it was dry as a bone and nothing would grow there, so it was really funny. But these squatters got a tiny plot of land, they got a house, they got a carabao and some chickens, so they were able to live, I think, a little bit more humanely than living. If you know what squatters might be like in the Philippines, it's probably second maybe only to Brazil that I've seen for squatter communities. Really bad places. My wife, whom I met there, was a nurse. She was training with Operation Brotherhood International, and OBI was training physicians and nurses to work in the insurgent area of Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam. So she was really on hold because even though she was certainly of age, she was 21 years old, OBI required parental permission for any Filipino or Filipina to go out of the country. So her father refused to give her permission to go to Laos, so instead he probably thought she got the worst of the deal by marrying an American instead of going to Laos and dealing with insurgent communist problems. But after a year, we were married in the Philippines just at the end of that second year. So for a year, I courted her. Every time I had a conference in Manila, I would see her, and we would go out and got to know her family, and then we were married a year later. Oh no, Peace Corps didn't allow volunteers to get married.
So this was after your...
After I was terminated, at the end of the year.
Okay.
Now, I often think about how fate intervenes in these things, because when I decided that I didn't know what I wanted to do after college, so to tread water, I said, I just joined the Peace Corps and then decide what you want to do. So I applied for Thailand because friends of mine told me that the Thais were absolutely wonderful people. And the country was lovely, so I applied to Thailand, and Peace Corps sent me to the Philippines, so I went. And then for a summer vacation project, all my friends said, Culian is the place you want to go, because that was a leper colony, and the Peace Corps volunteers ran educational and athletic programs for the children of the patients who are lepers on Culian. Well, it was either filled or something, but anyway, they assigned me to Sapang Palay, and found my wife. So I sometimes tell people I went to the Philippines looking for snails and I found the wife. I cried really long and hard when I left, because I made such good friends there. I don't know, it was a very moving experience, moving friendships that I had there. I went back in 2007. This was 40 years after the fact. That was such an incredible experience because I used to ride my bike 3 or 4 miles through desolate countryside, dirt road, through rice fields to get to my school every morning. And they put me into this Jeep and drove me out there, and they said, well, we're here. And I said, where's the school? Well, it's here. Well, the school is 4 or 5 times larger. No longer had nipa huts, but it had brick buildings. And across, there were no rice fields anywhere around. There were shopping centers, strip malls, and housing developments. The rice fields are gone. And they had a real library. It wasn't just a shelf with a half a dozen books on it, So, but 40 years is such a long time, and with the growth rate of the population in the Philippines, I should have known that it wouldn't be a small town anymore, but it was really a bustling little center, growing a lot of rice, a lot of copra. So that was an eye-opening experience, yeah. But we hung around the town that day. We had some visits in different houses. They took me to some of the teachers who are now retired and close to my age and a little bit older. So we had some reminiscence to talk about with the teachers that I used to be friendly with. These were people who didn't know me, had no contact with me whatsoever. I'm sure even some of the students were dead already. But they had a banner on the front gate as wide as that wall, 3 feet, 4 feet high. Welcome back, PCV 1965, Ted Nawolinsky. And I thought, good gosh, they don't know who I am. But they were. It was all Violetta and these other students, the FBI or CID big shot, they said, oh, Ted's coming back, and they still called me Mr. Ted. But yeah, they arranged it, and
so they called you Mr. Ted back then, and they called you Mr. Ted
even now, yeah, sir. Here was the district superintendent calling me sir. She was in charge of all of the schools in the province. Yeah, call me sir. But yeah, it was gratifying and humbling to see that everybody remembered me after all these years, I went into the Peace Corps to tread water because when you're in grade school, you think, oh, you know everything when you graduate from high school. Graduate from high school, you say, oh man, I don't know anything. I can't wait until I graduate from college. I graduated from college with a bachelor's degree in biology. I said, what on earth do I do now? I don't know anything. So I said, I tread water. What can you do? Peace Corps. Peace Corps sounded good at that time. Of course, I was 2 years past JFK's time, but I said, Peace Corps sounds good. So with the degree in biology, I think it was pretty easy because they were looking for teachers at that time. So I just went overseas to not be a burden or to not be wasting my time here for 2 years while I decided that I knew enough to get a decent job. But and it started with North Carolina. I applied to UNC for work in parasitology, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't my college grades that got me there, but I think the fact that I had been in the Peace Corps, they were looking for somebody with a different kind of experience. So I was based in Philadelphia for a few years, and then the vice president of animal health came to me and said, how'd you like to go to Brazil? I said, yep, sure. Because, again, I didn't even ask Gigi, poor woman. But it was Rio de Janeiro, and who wouldn't want to go to Rio de Janeiro for a couple of years? So I said, yeah, okay, I'll go to Rio. And that was all because all of these things, you know, the India thing, the Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I traveled all over South America. I became fluent in Spanish and Portuguese. The Brazil stay, all of that was simply because I went to the Philippines and people said, oh yeah, Novolinsky, he's adventurous, you know. He can speak the language, whatever it was, you know, send him over. He's the guy you want. And it's only because I didn't know what I wanted to do after graduating from college. I said, I got to tread water, I'll go into the Peace Corps. Yeah. I tell people now, sometimes in my high school, I haven't had decent work since 1995 because I've been out of work. They sold my division, and I lost my position in 95. Pfizer didn't take middle managers to New York. But I sub in high schools in this area, and sometimes they'll have some, you know, different job day. It says, Ted, can you talk about the Peace Corps? I tell these little kids, you know, they're 15 years old and 16 years old. I said, boy, I said, if you have any inclination whatsoever to do something odd, join the Peace Corps or VISTA or anything, you know, but it'll change your life. Indeed.
Marvelous stories. Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I don't have anything bad to say about the Peace Corps, you know, even, I don't know. I think it's the kind of thing, it sets you apart, and it's not why I did it, and I don't take credit for it. I'll tell anybody that, you know, I was an average college student, I was an average Peace Corps volunteer, I was an average master candidate, I was an average PhD candidate, but being average in levels as you move up, and all of that was because of the Peace Corps. Yeah.
Good. Well, thank you.
My pleasure.
Great. My pleasure. Yeah.